The Galaxy S9 and the Galaxy S9 Plus have arrived, and they're taking on the iPhone X. Here's how Samsung's two new flagships stack up to Apple's shining star. Both phones are glass-on-glass with a metal frame, but you have more color options to choose from with the S9, and they still have a headphone jack. The regular S9 and the iPhone X have the same 5.8-inch screen, while the S9 Plus has a larger 6.2-inch screen. But the curved screens on the S9s make the bezels look slimmer on the sides, while the iPhone Xs are slimmer top to bottom, but you get that notch in the way. The S9s also have greater resolution and pixel density than the Super Retina HD display on the iPhone X. Both phones lack a home button on the front, but the S9 still has a fingerprint scanner to unlock, this time below the camera. The iPhone X uses Face ID to unlock, while the S9 has what Samsung calls Intelligent Scan, a combination of the facial recognition feature on the front camera and the iris scanner. But since it's not a depth sensing camera, it may not be as secure. The S9 has a single main shooter, while the S9 Plus has a dual lens setup similar to that of the iPhone X, with a 12-megapixel wide-angle and 12-megapixel telephoto lens for better zoom and DSLR-style portraits. What's unique about the S9 is that the main lens has a variable aperture, which changes from f1.5 to f2.4 depending on the lighting. It also lets you select it manually from the Pro mode. And it offers super slow motion and 960 frames per second. The aperture on the iPhone X is fixed for both lenses, and the maximum slow-mo rate is 240 frames per second. The S9 has an 8-megapixel front camera compared to the 7-megapixel depth-sensing camera on the iPhone X, which lets you take portrait mode selfies. Both have AR capabilities. The S9 has even created its own version of the iPhone X's Animojis, which let you control the facial features of emojis with your face. The S9, however, also lets you create your own avatar to control, but the tracking is still not as great compared to that of the iPhone X. But the camera on the S9 also offers an extra artificial intelligence feature with Bixby Vision. You can translate text in real time and get information about a landmark just by pointing the camera. The motors on both these phones are beasts, but it's hard to compare. The S9s are powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 845 running Android Oreo versus the A11 Bionic chip on the iPhone X with iOS 11. Both phones have wireless charging, but the S9s have bigger batteries. And they offer 3 tiers of onboard storage depending on the market, with up to 400 gigs of expandable storage, while the iPhone X only has the 64GB and 256GB option. But these are just the specs. So we'll have to see how these two battle it out in the real world in the coming months.